Welcome to the Accessible Learning Experience, where we help you turn learning barriers into learning opportunities. On this episode, we chat with Michelle Schaldant and Austin Garilli from the Step Up AT project. Step Up AT is funded by the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Education Programs and has been developed and implemented in partnership with Florida's state-run Assistive Technology Program, the Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology, and the University of Miami Mellman Center for Child Development and Pediatrics. The mission of Step Up AT is to support teachers and families in effectively using evidence-based assistive technology practices to increase early literacy and learning outcomes for preschool children with disabilities. Here and now is our conversation with Michelle and Austin from Step Up AT. Hi, Michelle and Austin. Welcome to the Accessible Learning Experience. We're so excited to have you on the podcast. Can you start by providing a brief description of your project, Step Up AT?
Hi, Luis. Thank you so much for inviting us to this podcast. We're very excited to be here, and we're super excited to share with you the work that we've been doing over the last 5 years. Step Up AT is actually a program that's funded through the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education Programs. And what we've been doing over the last 5 years is developing a professional development toolkit of resources to train and coach teachers to use assistive technology tools and strategies to support young children with disabilities in early childhood settings. We envision Step Up AT to be a resource that teachers and parents can use anytime, anywhere to learn about assistive technology. And our ultimate goal of our program is to really help support the early learning of young children with disabilities in order to maximize their school readiness, to make sure that they're ready for kindergarten. So our whole focus is really on, how can we utilize assistive technology to promote children's early learning in preparation for kindergarten.
To situate your work in context, what do you see as some of the major challenges related to the use of assistive technology in early childhood settings?
I think there are many challenges, but I think one of the biggest challenges that we have encountered in our work is the many different kinds of early childhood settings where young children with disabilities can receive their services. So young children with disabilities who have an individual education plan will be receiving services from the school district, but they may be attending a community-based early childhood program, or they may be attending a district-based early childhood program. And within those early childhood programs, we also find that children can be in a voluntary pre-kindergarten program or a Head Start program or even a specialized program. So there's many different types of early childhood programs where young children with disabilities, where they may be. And so within that, we have found that teachers have varying levels of expertise in early childhood education in general, but also in special education and how specifically to support young children with disabilities in their early learning. And then within special education expertise is the work that we're doing, which is assistive technology. And so we're finding that teachers also have many different levels of understanding, knowledge, and experience in the area of assistive technology. And Austin, I'm sorry, my counterpart, what would you like to add?
I want to help illustrate that whole idea of these varied teacher backgrounds. So, one of the educational coordinators in our project, when I was talking to her right at the installment of Step Up this year, I said, well, what is your background in education? And she said, well, I started because I wanted to volunteer in my child's classroom. And from there, they hired me as a teacher assistant. I was very interested in what we were doing, so I wanted to become a preschool teacher. And so, I took the requisite classes to do that. And I stayed in the classroom so long, I eventually became an educational director. And this is very different from what we see in a lot of the like public K through 12 education or pre-K through 12 education, where the teachers come directly from schools of education. So it's a very different kind of teacher training. And that's where I think Step Up really comes in, because we really do fill that gap, um, where people have not come in with a really strong foundation, um, in special education especially. So the first time they're hearing anything about assistive technology is really from us.
And the way that you're addressing this challenge of capacity building is through the creation of a toolkit. Can you tell us a little bit about that toolkit and how it's being used?
I'd also like to emphasize the point that Austin just made is teachers and teacher assistants. So our professional development toolkit that we've developed, we see teachers and teacher assistants in the early childhood setting. Well, they're working together, but we really support the fact that they're working together. So our professional development, what we've been doing is we've designed our program to work with or to provide resources to teachers and teacher assistants as a unit, as one unit. And we find that that's important when designing a professional development toolkit, is to make sure that we're also providing support to the teacher assistants who are also working directly with young children with disabilities, but are also working to help support the lead teacher. So we have developed we call it a multi-tiered toolkit, with the idea for teachers to have access to training and support anytime, anywhere. Our vision is for teachers at any given moment to be able to access our resources. So with funding that we have received through the Department of Education Office of Special Education Programs, we have developed, first and foremost, an open sourced website where all of our resources are freely available to anyone, not just teacher or teacher assistants, but anyone who wants to learn about assistive technology. So within that multi-tiered toolkit, we have developed a series of online learning modules, a coaching protocol that is based on, we've explored over the last 5 years many different types of coaching methods, but what we have found to be most effective so far in the work that we're doing is our coaching protocol is based on practice-based coaching. And the third level of our toolkit of resources, our multi-tiered level of support, is a partnership that we have with our state assistive technology program. We're in Florida, so our state assistive technology program is called the Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology. And through our partnership with FAST, that's the acronym for the Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology, we have created a Step Up AT lending library of assistive technology devices that early childhood practitioners can borrow as they learn how to use our assistive technology. And I'd like to make a little plug right here to say that Florida is not the only state assistive technology program. There are state assistive technology programs in every single state and territory in the United States. So there will be a program like FAST in your state where you can borrow devices, whether you're a teacher assistant, whatever the case may be, but the FAST program is not unique to Florida. It's a state program that every state and territory has access to. So if you have not reached out to your state assistive technology program to see what their lending library has or what other types of trainings and support they have, please check out your state AT program, because it's a freely available resource, again, in any state and territory. And so that's the little plug that I have for state AT programs, but we leverage support from our state AT program to help support the work that we're doing in Step Up AT. So any other agency can do the same thing by getting in contact and partnering with their state assistive technology program, if that is something that you're looking to do in terms of building the capacity of assistive technology support where you are or where you're working. So we did that in order to help facilitate access to assistive technology devices. So it's great to have videos and provide coaching, but if you don't actually have the tools that you can borrow to try and use to see if they're going to work for the students that you're working with, then we felt like the training would be incomplete if we didn't have the availability of putting together this lending library of resources. And we didn't make this up. There's actually evidence to support that the use of these assistive technology lending libraries really do make a difference in professional development programs. So we thought it was an important component in our professional development toolkit. I will say, and then I'll turn it over to Austin to fill in anything that I missed, but I will also say that our curriculum, so what we're teaching teachers, is we've developed 8 teaching practices. Maybe over the years we might consolidate it or we might expand it, but we have narrowed down 8 essential teaching practices using assistive technology. So our resources are based on those 8 teaching practices, and those practices are based on the Division of Early Childhood recommended practices in the area of instructional support and environmental adaptations. So teachers are learning how to use AT in their instruction to support children with disabilities, but also they're using AT in order to learn how to engineer the environment in order to help support young children in their early learning. What did I miss, Austin?
Absolutely nothing. No, I think that I just want, what resonates with me is the whole idea of teacher use. And I know that, in the past 5-6 years that Step Up AT has been in existence, I mean, that's something that's so important in some of our focus groups and the building of rapport that we had earlier this year. That's the first thing that all of our stakeholders said is like, we want to see these tools, and for them to have their hands on it, to actually know what things are available to help their students. That's what's amazing. So when Michelle talks about, a lending library, and we've created videos, not just these videos, but I think these are some of our most important ones. They're device demonstrations, because once you have those tools in your hand, to know what to do with them is so important. And, like we were saying, a lot of these teachers have come in, with a not formal traditional education. So it's likely that they've never seen these tools in use before. So to have that, and the practice-based coaching is that emphasis on practice. I mean, we can't just put tools in your hand and expect that miracles will happen with these children. We need to build in the practice and the idea that it's okay not to get it right the first time when you're learning how to use the tools. So it's all of these things that we know about adult learning and about how we as adults feel when we're approached with these new ideas and these new tools. And we have to acknowledge that and make it okay to experiment with that, because that's supposed to be the fun of learning too, is that it's okay not to get it right the first time. But just again to emphasize that use, because that's when you get the teachers using the tools, which gets the students using the tools, that's when you're going to see results in those other areas, like better communication, the better behavior, and really furthering the early literacy skills.
That's a great point that you're making, Austin, about the importance of supporting teachers in experimenting with the use of assistive technology tools. And I know that on your website at stepupat.org, one of the resources that you have for supporting that use is a video library. Can you tell us a little bit about that library and the other resources people will find on your website?
Sure. And actually, I am going to have Austin answer this question, but before she does, I will say, you mentioned we have developed a video library. As I mentioned before, we envision this to be a resource that people anywhere, anytime, anywhere can access these resources. And in our first 5 years, we had the fortune of being able to actually go into classrooms to demonstrate how to use assistive technology with the teachers that we were working with. But we recognize that not everybody's an expert in AT and that we're not physically going to be able to go into every single classroom in order to provide those hands-on demonstrations. So we thought it was very important to start trying to develop a video library to provide something like a hands-on demonstration of the assistive technology. So we have lots and lots and lots of videos, and we're producing more videos with the idea of, here's a device. I don't really know how to use this AT. I don't have an expert in my area, but I want to learn how to use this device. And so here's a video that you can watch that can actually show you how to use the device, as well as how it can be used with a child. So we have how-to videos which show you that this is a communication device and this is how you program this particular device. But then we also have videos that actually shows a teacher using that device in a shared reading activity and how that teacher can help a child to participate using that communication device. So when to introduce it, how to set up the environment in order to encourage the child to use the device. So we have found the video library that kind of highlight the 8 teaching practices that our curriculum focuses on to be an important aspect of the resources that you will find on our website. But we have lots of other resources as well that Austin has been very active in trying to organize on our website. So I will have her share the other resources that we have.
Yeah, I think that our video library, I would say, is probably the backbone of a lot of what we do. Michelle explains, from whence it came, right? We did start with those device demonstrations and then realized, well, let's show those video exemplars of what that looks like in the classroom, because, you really need to see the application of it to really believe it. But paired with those too are strategies. It's kind of like, when you go to a doctor, they may prescribe medication, but sometimes they pair it with therapy, right? It's not just like a magic wand. So, we do have some videos that demonstrate some of the best strategies that you would use. For instance, if you're working with a child and you're introducing this device, you want to infuse some wait time, right? You don't want to just immediately go and correct the child because they're not, using it the way that you had intended. So you build in that wait time, or maybe you use some prompting. And again, that may be something like for veteran educators that would come to mind very easily. But I'll say it again, we're not necessarily working with all veterans. Some of these folks are brand new to education. Maybe they came in as a volunteer and decided this was their path in life. So we really need to make sure that they see it, because seeing is believing. What we're working on now, it will be on our website very soon, is our parent tours. So important to show that the things that the teachers are doing with the children in the classroom can be brought into the home, so that there is like a seamless between the home and school connection to what they're doing. And then the parents are reinforcing what the teachers are doing. And when we see results from that, then we have the parents' buy-in. So it's not just a sprinkling of strategies and hoping it works. It's a bona fide program. And then, Michelle alluded to the fact that we can't be everywhere all the time. And so our intent with this new iteration of Step Up is to train other people, mostly school-based personnel, but we could definitely see a district using our resources to train many teachers in many school sites at one time. And so we are developing videos that will essentially turn these folks into peer coaches, with us as the master coaches back on the home team. But then be able to impart that at a school site, you have the power to do this and to coach your teachers and really make it your own. So with that, that's really the backbone of our program. And then, we've created these modules, and they were developed before, but we have taken great care in embellishing what we have to be very video based. So you'll see a lot of our video content in the modules, which also incorporate, text, but then also what we call practice and play, which are those reflection questions to really help a teacher think about what they've learned and how they're able to apply that. And it's really interesting the way that our current coaches use them. Some of them really sit down and dialogue with their teachers, and I think that makes it the learning a little bit more meaningful. So we've kept the original modules because it's built on curriculum that's definitely been set and tried and true and tested. And then from there we're really working in the coaching material. We're developing our written material as well, because we have all sorts of learners. Not everybody is a video based learner. We have some people who really like to take the time to read and highlight and underline and make their own notes, and so we offer that as well. The coaching is the heart of our program, but that's not found necessarily on our website. From our website, that's what you've got.
Great. So you have a really robust set of resources, a really nice toolkit to really build that capacity for those who work with young learners and need to learn how to use assistive technology. And your website is just one component of that, but definitely coaching is a big aspect of everything that you do. And you mentioned, Austin, parents and how you do work with parents. I know a lot of your resources are oriented at educators and support specialists, but we know that our families are such important allies in supporting the work that we do to support the use of assistive technology with young learners. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how your program supports parents and families?
Well, there's a couple of things I can think of. The videos that we developed will give you some really great tips on, bedtime strategies, how to work with literacy, building with your children. Um, but one of the things I think is really cool that we've been able to do lately is to build the capacity of schools to work with parents and develop a parent advisory council on their own. And we really help or are trying to help the schools strive to uh, take this open approach to listening to what parents want and what parents need. If you've talked to any educators, you know that parents' involvement is one of the highest hurdles. If we had a magic formula and we could bottle that, we could make so much. It's really hard because it's so dependent on the school, and so we know that. We've been working with our sites to uh, kind of make a platform out there to invite parents in, really listen to what they have to say about their children's needs or their impression of their children's needs. And then we are working with the schools to try to bring that training to them with the support of our team. You know, for instance, like we held our first parent advisory council at one site, and they were looking for what kind of apps, like iPad apps, they could use at home, because many parents have iPads at home. That's not necessarily something that they would have to even reach out to a lending library for, but they need to know some guidance on what makes sense for their family. And so, using that information, we know the next time that we go in to help the school with their next advisory council, that's something that we're going to want to work with them on. And so it's really a lot of that listening and helping the schools develop that capacity so it's sustainable. Once they don't need our support as much, they're going to be able to continue the good work that we've been doing.
So I see that your website's available in English and Spanish, and many of the resources are also available in both languages. Can you share why that is so important for your project?
Yes, absolutely. So in our area and many parts of the country, there is a large Spanish speaking population. We're in South Florida. Approximately 60% of our residents speak Spanish as their preferred language. And we have found that many of our teacher and teacher assistants, their preferred language, their learning language or instructional language is Spanish. So we wanted to make sure that all of our resources were available in English and Spanish. And we wanted to do that from the beginning of our project when we were developing our materials. So we are working to make sure that all of our materials are culturally and linguistically responsive to our not only our population in South Florida, but across the nation.
In addition, when you look at our visually at our materials, you'll see everybody is represented. It's very important to us that you see, um, the multicultural array that is Miami, but is our United States as well. So we take great care in doing that. And I got to tell you, when I go out to sites and talk about our materials, uh, there there are teachers who are bilingual, but if their comfort level in learning is Spanish, then we need to account for that, because that's where you get the buy-in. That's where where they feel that they really really understand what we're all about, and the content, that's very specific content. um, so we really do take great care in making sure that that's covered.
I understand you've collected some data demonstrating the impact of the Step Up AT project. Would you mind summarizing that impact for our listeners?
Sure, absolutely. I will first say that our vision for Step Up AT from the beginning, like the so what of our program, was that, why do we want to teach teachers to